Hey guys, it's Abby from Pellinor, and today I'm going to be going through an unhaul of some books. Some of these I have decided are going, and some of these I could be persuaded to keep. So, let's just get into it. I have too many fucking books, man. So, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Hatton. Now when I read this at the time, multiple years ago, I was fine with it. Like, I probably would have rated it 3 stars. It was fine. Just fine. But I have no desire to pick it up again. I have no fond memories particularly of it. What I was planning on doing was donating it to my old primary school. I don't know if it is the right age range, I'd have to check, but if it is, then hopefully they'll get more use out of it than I ever could. Next up is The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. So this is a historical fiction that focuses on a young 18-year-old girl who, I didn't say what the fucking what's wrong with me? This is about an autistic boy who has a photographic memory and understands maths and understands science, and he finds the neighbour's dog dead on the lawn. This is in the synopsis, and it leads him on this wild goose chase across the UK. There you go. This one is set in the Netherlands, I believe. Yes, it's set in the Netherlands, and it follows an 18-year-old girl who's just been married off to a rich guy in 1686, and he gifts her like a dollhouse of the house that she's just moved into, of his house, and he's like, okay, you can decorate this. But he's really absent, he's never really there, she's not really included in the house, she always feels like an outsider, and nothing that she does kind of warms the household to her. The end of this, the reason I'm getting rid of it is I will never reread it. At the end of this, at the time when I read it, which was a few years ago now, 2016? Jesus Christ. The ending at the time really shocked me. I was like, but now that I've read more, I know that if you know the ending, I just didn't know enough at the time. I was a little more sheltered, as many of us were. At the time it was like, oh my god, and now it's like, okay, so. I still do think this is a good book. If you have it on your TBR, I still do think it's a really interesting historical fiction. I will say it's not as magical as I thought. I was hoping for more speculative interests going along, and it is a little bit more of just like a historical standard fiction. But yes, it's a good book. I just won't reread it. Next up, we've got Good Me Bad Me by Ellie Land. So I read this recently actually, compared to the other two. This is a thriller that follows a young girl who informed on her mother who was murdering children and is now in a protective home. And it follows her life. And it's like, oh, is she like her? Like, is she like the new family, or is she like the mother? Blood is thicker than water. This just wasn't what it promised to be. It was interesting. I read it very quickly. I read it all like in one sitting, sat while my partner played Destiny on the PlayStation. It was interesting, but I also was annoyed at it. It felt like 2 different books. This is what the synopsis promised, and this is like not even related in any way, and like the mashup between the two. I give it 3 stars. It was fine. Yeah. And then the last one for books that I've read from this pile is Avengers, the Ultimate Character Guide. So I actually read this cover to cover. I love the Avengers movies, I love the MCU. I never really read the comics. I think I've read like 2 comics because they're a bit more awkward to get your hands on, at least over here. I don't know about any other countries, but where I am, it's a bit awkward. I was like, oh, this will be great to actually learn some more about the Avengers and actually not just know only the stuff from the movies. And I did. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 3 or 4 stars, like a really positive 3 or 4 stars. It was really interesting. But when am I ever going to be going back through this to look at specific characters who have been in the Avengers? And I could give this to my primary school. Like, the kids would love this, to sit and to like just flick through and be like, oh my god, Flat Man, what? And they'll read through it, so I think they're gonna love it a lot more than I would. And in terms of the books that I will be donating to the school, my mum works there, my mum works at my old primary school, and they will be decontaminated. So what we do is we take them in. Usually we just take them in on a Friday and we leave them over the weekend, as that is enough time according to government guidelines for decontamination, and then they then start getting processed and the like. Sometimes my mum will, because obviously we're in the same household, she'll take them in and she'll start the process putting them on the system. She'll start that before she like quarantines them, because of course we're in the same household, so she can touch the books, and it just means that then the kids can just go straight for the books rather than another member of staff like adding them to the system and then the kids having to wait another few days. But yes, so if you're worried about me donating the books to like a specific organisation, it's fine. And then we're on to the books that I haven't read yet. So these are the ones where you could persuade me to keep them. I just really need to get some books off my streets. I blame this book. So this is The Severed Streets by Paul Cornell. It's about a fantastical London, like supernatural, and it's like police, and it's the second book in a series. I picked this up from the works in the days when I was like, yeah, this looks interesting, I'll pick it up. And it does. It looks really interesting. Bodies of rich white men found in circumstances similar to those that set the streets of London alight with fear during the late 1800s. And so it's like Jack the Ripper, but in the future and with supernatural elements. And it sounds so interesting, but I haven't read the first book. I don't own the first book. So, let me know. What do you think? Let me know. Next up is Smiler's Fair by Rebecca Levine. This is book 1 of The Hollow Gods. I originally thought that this was like middle grade YA. Apparently it is not. Apparently it is definitively an adult one. So if it wasn't obvious, this is a fantasy book. I don't really know much about it. It is really pretty. Like, this is hardcover without a dust jacket. That's how it came. So no, not for resale. Well, I bought it for 25 pence. And that's why I picked it up, because it was cheap and it looked interesting, and I was in a phase in 2016, 2017 of just buying a lot of books. So I don't know. Yairon the moon god died, but now he's reborn in the false king's son. His human father wanted to kill him, but his mother sacrificed her life to save him. He'll return one day to claim his birthright. He'll change your life. He'll change everything. And it's a great moving carnival, Smiler's Fair, where any pleasure can be had if you're willing to pay the price. And in terms of that start bit, that sounds very much like mythology there. It's like very dark with this carnival, and they're all gonna like merge and discover things. It sounds interesting. Like, don't get me wrong, it sounds really interesting, but I've not heard anybody talk about it at all, and I need to get books off of my shelves. Literally, that's it. So, what do you think? Let me know. And then the last book, 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. I have heard things about this. I've heard really positive things about this and about The Kite Runner. This is another one that I picked up at the same time. Oh, look at the end pages. Oh, they're gorgeous. What's under the cover? Oh, it's like maroon. Anyway, that's not technically important. But yes, so this is about a girl who's 15 when she's sent to marry a 45-year-old, and 2 decades later, like, shit goes down. With the passing of time comes Taliban rule over Afghanistan. So the thing is, like, I don't read contemporaries. I picked this up when I did, when I was still like discovering how I was going to read as an adult. But this still sounds really interesting. I don't know much about Afghanistan. My dad was in the British Army, so what I do know is a little skewed, so I would like a more representative view of Afghanistan. These last 3 I am really tempted to keep. This one probably slightly less than The Severed Streets, the policey supernatural one, but it does sound really, really interesting. But at the same time, is that enough for me to keep it? I could donate this and it'll go to someone else who will be really, really interested in reading it. I don't read contemporaries. I really need your help. Let me know. And those are, oh dear fucking god, man. What? Why? Those are the books. These are the books that I am wanting to unhaul. All the way up to here is, they're going. FYI, they're going. And these 3 you can persuade me on. So let me know what you think. What should go? What should stay? In the comments down below, please do tell me if you have any opinions about those 3 as to whether they should stay or go. And if you've gotten this far into the video, put the light bulb emoji down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! I have to put these books somewhere. I have to store them till you make a decision. Comment! Is the guilt trip working? No? No. Okay.